Life on the ranch means you get creative. Need to move a haystack? Use the tractor. Fence down? Tractor. Stubborn stump? Tractor. Around here, the tractor is as useful as duct tape. There's nothing it can't fix. But I never thought I'd use it to move an entire shed with people inside. The trouble started when the HOA decided they didn't like my shed. It was a sturdy, well-built structure my grandfather and I had put together years ago. Tin roof, wide doors, reinforced floor, perfect for tools, feed, and storing the ATV. To me, it wasn't just a shed. It was part of the family history. To Karen, the self-appointed queen of the HOA, it was an unapproved eyesore. This structure violates community guidelines, she announced at my gate one morning, clipboard in hand. It's too large, improperly painted, and it sits too close to the property line. I crossed my arms. Karen, this isn't your jurisdiction. My shed's been here since before your HOA even existed. She gave me that smug smile that made my blood boil. Then you'll have no problem with us seizing it as community property. At first, I thought she was bluffing. But a week later, I came home to find the shed padlocked. HOA notices plastered across the doors like crime scene tape. And inside, I could hear voices. Karen and 2 board members had literally moved into my shed to secure it until further action could be taken. That was it. Enough was enough. I didn't bother arguing. I didn't scream. I didn't even call the sheriff. Instead, I walked across the yard, climbed onto the tractor, and fired up the engine. The rumble alone made Karen poke her head out the shed window. "What do you think you're doing?" she yelled. I revved the engine and backed the tractor right up to the shed. With a heavy-duty tow chain, I hooked onto the beams of the foundation, double-checked the hitch, and grinned. Karen's face turned pale. "You can't do that. We're inside." I shrugged. "Then maybe you shouldn't be trespassing." And with that, I hit the throttle. The shed groaned, wood creaking as the tractor pulled forward. At first, it barely budged. But then the whole structure lurched, the padlock rattled, and slowly but surely, I dragged the entire shed across the yard. Karen's shrieks filled the air as the board members inside scrambled to keep their balance. "You're going to regret this," she screeched, banging on the walls. I just kept driving, past the fence line, across the pasture, and right down toward the edge of the property where a fresh pile of manure waited to be spread. With one last tug, I parked the shed directly beside it, unhooked the chain, and dusted off my hands. "There you go," I called out. Community property delivered straight to the compost heap. By the time Karen and her cronies stumbled out, they were covered in dust, furious, and humiliated. They stormed off, threatening lawsuits and jail time. I waved them goodbye, secretly wishing I had installed cameras to capture the entire circus. Of course, Karen did call the sheriff. When the deputy arrived, she went on a rant about property seizure and assault by tractor. The deputy looked at me, then at the shed, then back at Karen. "Ma'am, did you have permission to be in his shed?" Karen folded her arms. "We're the HOA. We don't need permission." The deputy sighed. "That's trespassing. Frankly, you're lucky he didn't have you arrested already. Moving his own shed on his own land? Not a crime. You breaking into it and squatting inside? That's the problem." Karen's jaw dropped. "This is an outrage." But the deputy just tipped his hat. "Ma'am, I'd suggest you leave before I book you and your friends for unlawful entry." And that was the end of it. After that day, the HOA left my shed alone. They tried a few more violation letters, but I mailed each one back, stamped with the sheriff's card. Eventually, even Karen realized she'd lost. The shed still stands on my property, stronger than ever. I even painted "private" in bold letters across the side, just to make the point. And every time I drive past it on the tractor, I chuckle. Because nothing, and I mean nothing, beats the look on Karen's face when she realized she'd been dragged across the yard in the very shed she tried to steal. Sometimes justice doesn't come from a courtroom. Sometimes it comes from a tractor.